Oh, good. It started. Sorry. I was trying out a new thing, and now I know it started. Anyway, welcome to Book from Scratch. Took me a moment there to remember what I'm doing. That's writing 101 actually. Anyway, welcome to Book from Scratch, where you're watching me write a book live. Why would anyone want to watch this or do this? That's a good question. But I did think that there's a lot of great YouTube channels out there with writers, with agents, with editors, with publishers who want to pass on how to, the knowledge of how to write a book. And I thought, well, I think they're all great. Well, I haven't seen all of them, but the ones I've seen are great, and they offer the right kind of advice, and they talk about how to structure, show not tell. They understand plot and all the different genres and how to write them and stuff like that, and it's all great. I've learned a lot from them. But I did wonder, like, when you have this idea, you kind of sit there and go, how do you take the idea, how do you take the notes, which you can see right here, and how do you transform that into a book, a story? I hope that doesn't happen again, sorry. Well, I thought that if I did it live, that would show you how. So I'm writing this whole book, I'm live streaming the whole thing. Yes, watching someone type will probably be boring sometimes, but I hope it's useful for you all the same. You'll understand that you'll see how a writer does it. And I'm learning things as I go, so I'm teaching things as I go as well. But let's get started. If you've watched the last, looks like 5 episodes of this live stream series, you'll know I've started typing and it's time to get back into it. You're going to have to watch some of the other videos to catch up. But basically, what's happened is this is like a prologue where the 2 main characters of the book going forward sort of get their inspiration to become, just for now, adventurers. But I'm not going to make it just that. So this records their village getting attacked by some unknown soldiers. At this point, they're soldiers that don't that's seemingly indestructible, and you can stab them but they don't bleed. And Fortis and Huxton, those are the 2 main characters. Huxton's the human, Fortis is the orc, are trying to figure out how to help and be helpful. They're quite young in this bit. And I've also got to, in this chapter, sort of give a hint of the theme of the entire story, which is kind of, you could have, and the theme is this: in lots of books and lots of stories, there's the big bad guy, and you'll notice that a lot of big bad guys rely on like a terrible situations going on throughout the world to exploit in order to gain power. So I thought, why not write a fantasy story where you can still have that? I think I figured out a way to have like the big bad battle at the battle versus the big bad at the end, but you make them weaker, or you make it easier to defeat them by resolving some of the issues. So I need to feed that into this one. Now I've kind of fed it already, where Fortis and Huxton, I've already taken a very direct action against the soldiers, the clear problem, attacking this village. And however, it hasn't worked. So what I should have them do now is find an alternate method of taking them out that reinforces that theme that will eventually blossom and grow throughout the book. Like, they will simply see their solution as being that worked instead of this worked. But eventually they'll realise, wait, this should be applied to all situations. So how does, while still having a very action-orientated, fantasy, I've got the normal fantasy thing in there, but the solution is different. And I kind of had it in here. Let me bring this up a bit bigger. So I had this plan for the fantasy. There we go. Fantasy series. And down here. Okay. By the way, I'm not going to explain this. I've already done that in the previous video. I'm very sorry. This is just a breakdown of how I do plot. So the thing is, here they realize that someone must be controlling these soldiers. They're kind of like animated soldiers, but there's more to it than that, which will be explained as I grow the magic system that I've got in this fantasy universe. But that's actually, it's not cliche, but it's been done. Like, the solution here isn't direct action against the soldiers. The solution is simply figuring out the mystery of who they are and resolving it. But that's common fantasy. What I need is to have that, but I need to it needs to be a very different solution that will be utilized later. And I think I've realized what this is. The solution will be that Fortis, like, I'm going to go back and re-edit a few sections of what I've already read and written, and then I'm going to rework it to suit this alternate idea, or not, so it's not too much editing, I think. And I've realised that in a lot of the, not all fantasy, but it's a lot of stories where if you think about it, if many more people in a society actually just decided enough is enough and we're done, then everything would get resolved. Like, I'll give you the most extreme historical example I can think about is this. Before World War II, you've got a clear bad guy in Adolf Hitler. Everything that he did afterwards could have been absolutely avoided if enough German people had just gone, okay, we made a mistake, this guy's awful, it's time to get rid of him. And there were already people in Germany thinking just that. And there was a load of people there's a load of people who are absolutely against him. Small. There's a load of people who are like, is this good? Is this bad? But we're too weak and cowardly to do anything about it. Like, that's like the whole myth of the clean Wehrmacht, or the clean citizenry. Then there's a bunch of people who are kind of on his side, but probably have those limitations. And there's a fairly large, but not larger than the rest, who are terribly bad and are completely on board for what Hitler wanted to do. So if you can turn enough of these people to go, right, that's it, we've had enough, they eclipse these evil people entirely. And in some ways, isn't that kind of true about all the bad things that we're trying to face in our society? Now, forget the fact that there are truly bad people in the world. There is a big chunk who are unsure and perhaps too cowardly to do anything, and there's people who are kind of on this side, but they also have this, maybe they have a strong moral core that is exhibited in some ways, but they're not doing the right thing of applying it here when they should be, like. But in all of it, at the end of World War II, there was a vast amount of population of Germany who were like, okay, we'll just keep our heads down and try and hope that no one ever notices and pulls us up on what happened. But they kind of regretted it. Like, it went too far. They're not innocent, historically speaking, but there's like, I'm kind of like this in our society right now. I don't do enough to stop terrible people from running our government. I just vote for someone who's better. At the last election, I voted to make sure Labour were in power. But I'll admit, Labour aren't a very great political party right now, as proven by Go Watch News. And if I just did more, then, and lots of other people just like, okay, rather than just keeping my head down, playing it like a bit conservative, but playing not the political party, just, not doing much, just hoping it all blow over, go down the Winchester and have a pint and hope it all blows over. No, I think if I did a bit more and millions of people in Britain just did a little bit more, you don't have to completely upend your politics, but you would have a better system. I hope that makes sense. So, what I've realised that in this chapter, and this will grow throughout the whole book, is that what needs to happen is that in this fantasy world, many, 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 many more people need to have their minds changed, not completely. They don't have to upend their entire beliefs, but they just have to stand up for that moral principle they probably express, probably agree with, but sometimes you're too cowardly, sometimes you're too lazy, sometimes you worry and are anxious about the future after you do it. Sometimes it's you don't want to die. Sometimes you don't want to face the worst possible thing that could happen to you for standing up against evil. But if they did, everything gets resolved before the bad guy is even like got his army together and is coming for the good guys, so to speak. So in a way, while I've got a theme of like exploring other ways of resolving things before the bad guys actually get there, maybe theme is the wrong word, but I'm still using it, whatever. And then what I've got to put in this chapter is the idea that everyone like realizes, what are we doing? Let's just resolve, like, let's use the force of our numbers to actually do something. So that's what I'm actually going to do here. So I'm going to have to go back a little bit. So there was this moment where Fortress and Huxton break into a chapel belonging to, in this universe, the god is essentially this giant snail that everyone lives on. Everyone lives on this shell of this giant snail. It's kind of Discworld-esque in some sense. So, but they have a chapel. It looks like a common church that we would have, but it's shaped like a snail shell on the back. Not entirely. It needs to have a sort of, it needs to feel familiar to what we would see as a church, and it's got two spires for the two stalks coming out of a snail's head. But either way, they're running for the chapel. They push their way inside. It's right here on this, and this is where I need to do some groundwork first. And you do need to put this groundwork in so that it doesn't feel like it comes out of nowhere for your readers. So they reach the double doors, push their way in. Inside, the heavy incense-filled air of the building felt clean and crisp, free from the smoke wafting around the village. Now, you would probably say that's a bit badly written. That's fine. This is a first draft. I'm going to go back and I'm going to edit this as best as I can. And, you know, you're a writer, you understand. Smoke wafting around the village. So let's add a bit. Inside was practically the whole village. No, I'm not going to do men, women and children. The reason why was practically the whole village. No other children, just the adults. Now I've got to do some random naming. Okay, I'm going to come back and re-edit this later. Oh wait, sorry, I just noticed there's a comment, so I just want to address it quickly. Well, thank you for commenting. It wasn't additional, like, talking about this, but I'm glad that someone has come back to the live stream. Thank you, R07V470R. Thank you for coming back. I hope you enjoyed the other videos you're going to go back and watch. Okay, no other children, just the adults. So I'm just going to be really boring with names. Mr. Butcher, Mr. Butcher, who gave Huxton steaks. Mr. Bun, who provided the village with, let's go with sweet treats for now, and Mrs. I'm going to change these names going forward, and Mrs. Haberdashery? No, Mrs. Needle, who had donned his socks last season. Okay. Inside it was practically the whole. Practically the whole village. No other children. They had ran for the swamp. They had run for the swamp at the first sign of trouble. It was just the adults. Mr. Butcher, who gave Huxton steaks, Mr. Bun, who provided his sweet treats, and Mrs. Needle, who darned socks, and many more. Only the wardens, like Huxton's mum, were not here. Okay. villages. He lay on the pew. Okay, good. So we've got some injury. That's fine. Now, what I've done is laid the groundwork that inside this chapel, everyone is there. And only those that are capable of fighting are actually, but not just those capable of fighting, those who volunteered to fight. So I actually, because this all cements what I'm trying to say. So hang on a minute. I need to go back. There was a moment where I mentioned, yes, there it is, that Huxton's mother is a warden. Okay, yeah, that's the hard. Okay, where are they? So what happens is a village. No, so I'm going to get rid of village elder. The head warden passed by on their way to help another. Another member of the town. I'll just put militia. Is militia the right word? I'm pretty sure it is. Militia. Which was raised from the silver portion. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. So, the head warden passed by on their way to help another member of the town's militia. Village's militia. I should probably go with militia. The children been sent down. Oh, follow them. Get to the boats. Head for the. His compatriot. Okay, what I need to do is insert a line in the right place without it seeming perfectly natural that the wardens are volunteers. Okay, maybe it works here. There we go. The best, if you were trying to insert something into your writing to connect it to something else, you need to think of something and not make it have like it's a bit of exposition just to enforce. It's got to feel natural exposition when you do it. Actually, I think people love reading exposition in books. I know I do. So I already know. Well, it's going to be revealed that his mother is a warden. Although have I already done that? Where would I mention the fact that he's... Yeah, okay, so I do that later. Okay, so I can't do it then. One of the reasons why I can't add it now is that there's this line later where your dad tends to the chapel. That's the hardest building in your village. So that makes him a pivotal figure in the village. That's good. Your mum is a warden. She's fighting these things. This is the moment to insert something about how they're a volunteer force. And since I've mentioned that Huxton's mother is a warden, that means he can reference her and mention at the same time it's volunteer force. So the best way to do that is to give Huxton's reaction to the fact that his mother is fighting. He could be scared, he could be sad, he could be worried, but given that previously in the story I mentioned that Huxton is kind of scared of his mum after something gets broken inside the house, she should be naturally brave and tough and strong, so he wouldn't be worried for her, so he's got to do a different emotion. But it can't be... I can make it humorous by making it seem like Huxton's completely nonplussed about this because she can take on anything. But that seems slightly wrong. Instead, I think I'll go down a pride route. So, Huxton's chest swelled with pride. Swelled with pride as he fought with his bashing in a soldier's helm with her... Actually... no, hang on. Not... I think because they're a town militia, they should have very simple weapons. Let's not imply that she's got some sort of magical mace or something. Huxton's chest swelled with pride as he fought... nope. As he thought about his mum spearing one of the soldiers through the stomach. I'm very sorry that my light keeps going. I'm being illuminated here by the screen itself, and for some reason the connection keeps going. Where can I switch on that light? You don't get this in many live streams, do you? Okay, fine, I'll risk it. I'll keep going. soldiers through the stomach. Okay. Huxley's chest swelled with pride as he thought about his mum spearing one of these soldiers through the stir. And this was something... This was... Okay, swelled with pride as he thought about his mum spearing one of these soldiers through the stomach. And this was... And I was about to say, maybe I could just say... And this was something she volunteered to do. But that doesn't feel right. Mum, who'd no, okay. So I can do who, I could insert it here, who had volunteered to be a village warden for the last 3 years. Huxton's chest swelled with pride as he thought about his... Okay, I don't have to say swelled with pride. What's the point of doing that when... Of course that's what I did. So... just swelled as he thought about his mum, who had volunteered to be a village warden for the last 3 years, spearing one of these soldiers through the stomach. So I've given the fact that it's volunteer force. Now, the reason why I've been doing that is because it sets up the fact that all these villagers don't volunteer. So there's this enemy attacking the village. They're fighting this enemy. And everyone else has gathered in the town. However, if you think about it, if they all just pitched in all at once and all acted as wardens, just the adults, then less people will die, and this whole thing is solved really quickly. And it's a microcosm of the larger theme of the book, which will grow and it will morph over time to replicate, like the whole book as a whole in all the different genre. The whole anthology, that's what it is technically, will emphasize the point that what really needs to happen to destroy the big bad guy, and you visualize your big bad guy that maybe you hate the way we it could be climate change, it could be tax policy, it could be a rising dictatorship somewhere, it could be continued warmongering, supporting this person, supporting that person around the world. In a way, that's that big bad, and defeating it isn't done through like violence. Sometimes I guess it does. No, let's say no violence. But if enough people got on board with changing it, it would actually change. So the whole book will replicate the theme of more people need to get on board with the idea of changing something so that the big bad won't ever be there. Like, climate change is going to do a lot of damage to the world. Right now, some of its effect is being mitigated because enough people are doing something about it. But here's the thing. If many, many more people just go, okay, it's real, let's do something about it, nothing really that bad will happen to the rest of us, will it? It just means cleaner air, cleaner water. We'll still be driving cars everywhere. They'll just be electric. It's only bad for the people who make money off the current system, but they could just join in with switching to the new system and they'd still make money. It's a whole thing, I guess. But the point is, we are kind of in a situation where we're almost not doing anything about it, and what will happen is the world will become much worse, and the people who did everything to make it as bad as it is will still be wealthy and rich. And you could imagine that in the future there's this gigantic uprising where we kill them all and punish them all, shall we say, for what they did, which is both like a solution but not. The thing is, we could solve it all now, couldn't we? Like, even if you don't believe climate change is happening, what's wrong with doing all the things we want to do to mitigate its effects, which would absolutely be positive right now? I'm not trying to be political. I'm trying to give you an example of how a mass action by people would change it, and I want to put that in the book to complete the theme of it's not just about defeating the big bad guy. It's about solving all the little problems that lead to the big bad guy being the problem that they are. So I think I'm almost there. Okay, so we can still do this bit where they signal the orcs living in the nearby swamp to come and help, because in this the orcs aren't the bad guys. I've laid in the idea that there's a volunteer force, so I need Huxton to think of something, say something first to emphasize this before it does. And if some of you haven't noticed, down here I'm basically kind of ditching this whole thing. Rather than there being a person who's controlling them, I'm not really going to explain right now where these soldiers come from. That will come later. But I'm ditching that to write a different ending that emphasizes this theme. Also, I'm worried that at 2060 words this is too long. We need to, oh no, it will be too long when I finish it. Right, okay, let's go back a little bit. So Fortis and Huxton have to enter the called the only the wardens, no apostrophe needed. Wardens like Huxton's mum were not here. Okay. Huxton wondered why no one else had thought to do it. No one else here had thought to do it. Huxton wondered why no one else here had thought to do it. No one else. Okay, that just emphasizes the fact that these people were not doing anything about it when they could. You're right, the wardens normally do it. The wardens normally do it. But we can. Good. But we can, with Huxton's father saying that. I know he appears to be like a doctor in this point, helping the villagers who are injured, but it's fine for him to be a part of the crowd as well. You're right, the wardens normally do it, but we can. Light them, boys. Then we have this whole bit about where Huxton and Fortis, if you've not seen one of the previous episodes, this is the bit where Huxton and Fortis light the beacons, and then we're at where we are. And I've kind of done all the setup I need to now, I think. What I reread will discover other flaws in this, but it's now time to like get writing. So through the sold, so Huxton on top of two. Do you know what? It's time for some more. Where did my pen go? Ah, there it is. Hiding. Let's make this big enough for you to see. Woohoo, too big. Right, so it's to sort of mimic the idea of stalks. On top of that was terrible. I apologise. I'm not an artist yet. Anyway, so double doors of the church, little oh, actually, if it's a snail, if it's mimicking a snail, it needs to be slightly longer. And then you've got, but then to mimic the snail's shell, these chapels, oh, come on, have a sort of, I'm seriously a terrible artist. Anyway, it's like a, who cares? I'll explain it to you later. But either way, no, actually, it's so terrible. I can't look at it. Okay. Then here you have the first. So I won't draw the rest of the building because we're running out of time. So soldiers down here trying to beat their way in, and here are Fortis and Huxton at the top, and let's say the beacon is like here above them, mimicking, I guess, the fire because the twin stalks are actually sort of like twin suns for this universe. Anyway, so I can visualize it now. 3 of the soldiers are here hacking at the door. I don't need to say what they're hacking with. If they hacking, you can probably think swords, axes, doesn't matter. Now I've established help is coming. Maybe that help is already on the way. The orcs could have seen the fire. So they've already started getting. So I don't. Let's say I've got to fill 10 minutes. I've got to fill 10 minutes of not of pure writing. I just got to. I've got to fill what equates to a long enough period of time so that the reader will feel that enough time has passed so that the orcs can turn up and help resolve things. Okay. It would probably be okay for what Fortis and Huxton to do is start throwing something down. But what? In a church, wouldn't be weapons in the church. They can't really throw whatever in universe thing is Bibles in this church. I don't want them to have to do that anyway. They can't throw pews, stones. You see, I was going to get them to do their magic, but I feel one of the things I wanted was this universe to be a bit. It's kind of a mixture of 3 fantasy universes. Not true. It's actually a mixture of some slight things inside those magical universes. So it's like the Discworld universe in that it's on the back of a snail, like Discworld is on the back of a tortoise. So it's got a sort of almost whimsical kind of fantasy about it. It's clearly not. There's clearly some reality. It's not scientific, so to speak. It's not like a normal world with magic in it, like Middle Earth. But it is a bit like Lord of the Rings, in that I want the magic to be subtle rather than like flashy. And it's also a bit like Dungeons and Dragons in the multi-races, adventurers, a wild kind of world with recurring problems, which is what you get from the D&D universe. So, I wish that next time I'll figure that out. And I apologise for it. So, what I need to do I need them to do magic right now? Is that a good part? And no. To keep the subtlety of the magic out of the universe. I mean, I'm clearly implying magic because these soldiers were being stabbed by Huxton and not bleeding. So I clearly established there is some magic at play. I've also established there's some practical stuff at play, what with the lighting of the beacons with oil and powder and flint and stone, you know, like the real world ways of starting a fire rather than just going fire and blasting fire from their hands. So I'm not going to have to get them to do magic. Okay, that was only, I've only got one thing to do. It's going to have to be stones from the church roof. A few of the soldiers are there hacking at the door. What do we do? Huxton asked. He shouted at his friend. Shouted at Fortis across the... Now I need to look up the entrance to a church. Entrance to a chapel name. The Narthex. I'll call it a porch, because Narthex is probably not a common enough name for people to know. Like, you can teach people by using uncommon words, but you don't want them doing that in the first chapter. Huxton shouted for us across the chapel porch. Oops. The chapel porch. He watched his friend look around. Around his cup puller. Fortis then decided to grab one of the bricks. Where else is gonna bricks? I don't want the church to look bricks. In case you're wondering, I'm looking up brick thesaurus. Slab. Slab works. So I had to grab one of the loose slabs on the tower roof. Huxton watched him heave it onto the ledge, then push it over, and push it off and over. No. Okay, Huxton. Hang on a minute. If you want to figure out how to describe your action scenes, it's best. It's not best. It's a good idea to try and act them out. So. Fortis then decided to grab one of the loose slabs on the top of the tomb, watched him heave it onto the ledge, and then push it off. I don't need more. Huxton traced. Watched the greystone tumble off the tower, spinning as it went. Crashing. Huxton watched the greystone tumble off the tower, spinning as it went, as it fell. Yeah, I'm not repeating itself. As it fell, and a second later, smashed. We'll stick with that. He fell, and a second later smashed into one of the soldiers below. Its helm crumpled under the weight of the stone, and actually lodged. And as it deformed the metal, it lodged in the soldier's head. Stumbled around. Then collapsed. To the ground. Fortis whooped. Hollered. Whooped and hollered. Okay. I shouldn't be doing this because hollered. There we go. Is that right? So he whooped and hollered as at his victory, I guess. Crouch, yeah. Fortis whooped and hollered at his victory. The two remaining soldiers. The two remaining soldiers looked up. They're obviously going to try and attack them both now. But how? The two remaining soldiers looked up. One turned back. With its hammer. No, with its axe. With its... The other walked up to the tower and started to climb. Huxton heard his friend utter, "Oh." Ooh. do I do? Soldier climbed. Right. So now, I'll just turn to my notes down here. You might not be able to see this. Let's see. So we actually had one cape. So one soldier with his caved in head here. He's out. One is still by the door, hacking away with an axe. The other is climbing the tower where Fortis is. So now they've both got to help somehow. As the soldier climbed. Wait there. Oh, no. He two at a time, then three at a time. As he carries Modern down, he almost tumbled out onto the exit. No, he almost tumbled out onto the floor of the chapel. He was going so fast. He bolted for Fortis's tower, picking up. Now, what would be in a chapel? What equipment is in a chapel? Okay, altar, crucifix. There's no crucifix here. Chalice? Pews, a lectern. Candles. Candle holders. Candles are fine. He bolted for the tower, picking up tall black iron. What do you call it? What is a tall candle holder called? What do you call it? Like one of those, like, tall candle holder church. Okay, so I can just call it a candle holder. He bolted forward to his tower, picking up a tall black iron candle holder. And the melted... What says candles? Melted wicks. No. Dribbling melted wax onto the floor. Someone help. Villagers huddled in the chapel. Someone help me, he cried out to the villagers huddled in the chapel. They groaned as he ascended the tower. His legs groaned as he ascended the tower. To reach his friend, and when he made it to Fortis, Okay, what would be... Okay, so let's say you've got an edge. You've obviously got an archway that leads to where the actual thing is sort of lit. The beacon is kind of lit. Here's a sort of knight kind of guy. He's got presumably a hand on the top there. And Fortis is right here. Doing what? There's probably sort of like a bit here where... What the heck? Not great. Battery goes in the pencil. Charge. Right. Thereseus found, and when he made it to the top, he saw Fortis wrestling with this old... Can't say top again. Who had reached the edge of the tower. Let's use Copula again, that's fine. Take this. Huxton swung. There was a clang like the churches. There was a clang like a church. There was a... Holder struck helm. Can't say church. The clang was like a poorly rung L, but it did her job as the knight, as the soldier's helm went flying off into the night, flying off into the night, obviously into the night now. If I were flying off into the night. Fortis and Huxton stared at the empty space where the soldier's head should have been. There was nothing. It's animated armour. Now I don't want to call it animated armour because that's too D&D. I need to be a little bit more original than that. Fortis and Huxton stared at the end space where the soldier's head should have been. There was nothing. It's being it's not being animated. Let's try and look for something else. Okay, this is where I'm going to start naming magic at the very least. I think let me explain briefly how the magic systems work, and I will develop over time. How good people are at magic is based entirely on the training that they have and kind of their own intelligence. So let's say there's lots of people whose bodies are completely capable of being the best. Choose a sport, Mark. Choose a sport. Okay, football, whatever. Like, there's lots of people who have the right build and body shape and healthy body who could be an excellent footballer, an excellent scorer, goalkeeper, midfielder, whatever. Soccer if you're American. Either way, like, there's literally tens of thousands, millions of people in every country who watch soccer, who can play it. So one of the things that makes you a great footballer is that you train that body. So there's probably someone who could absolutely train themselves to be their body to the right peak, to kick the ball, to dribble the ball, like insert footballer. I'm just gonna name one, Ronaldo. Okay, whatever. So but who doesn't play football? So Ronaldo plays football. He trained himself. and he's good at football. Someone else can do the exact same thing. They can train their body to be able to do what Ronaldo does. But that just makes you a footballer. To be, presumably, do you agree with me? To be an exceptional footballer like Ronaldo is considered, it's also a certain amount of not natural talent, because it's a bit hard to quantify that, but it is sort of said that if you're so into football like Ronaldo is, you take it seriously, you go that extra mile, you also approach how you play the game a little bit differently than someone who just likes football. So in this magical world, the people who can do magic are those who train relentlessly to be good at it. And the best magic users have that little bit of not extra talent, but they so desire to be good at it. They manage to do that extra talented next step that makes a footballer Ronaldo truly stand out amongst others. But most others are capable of doing what he's doing at this level. And if you think about football, you've got Ronaldo and footballers like him at the top, and then you've got beneath them the ones who can play football and they've trained really well and they've got all the mentorship they needed to be good at it, but they obviously haven't made Ronaldo stages, so I put it like that. But then you've also got a bunch of people who also play football, but for them it's more a hobby, it's not their life, and it's just a job to some extent, and they enjoy it, but it's just a job, so they don't push themselves that out for more, or they don't have the desire to go that little way. And then you've got people who just, like me, just played football recreationally and was never going to be any good at it and didn't want to be any good at it and probably would never have the opportunities to train relentlessly in it if they wanted, which I didn't. And then you've just got people who just kick a football around sometime. All of those people that rise to true and great magic football is the same kind of system. So in my universe, you have to train at magic to be good at it. But also, what is more common in this world is that everyone who can use magic is like the gap between them and the person at the bottom is actually much greater than you imagine. But also, if you take the Ronaldo footballer and the other footballers that play with Ronaldo who are truly good at the game, there's the some that aren't the exceptional ones perhaps, but it's the gap between them is actually huge. So most people don't train in magic because it's too hard. So people don't use magic commonly in this universe. But the ones you see doing magic have trained for ages to do it. They don't need physicality to do it, but they have trained in it. So everyone has access to magic, but if you don't train it, you don't get it. That's the way I'm sort of going at it. And really the only kind of people you see wield magic in this universe are the ones who have trained to be the exceptional and the just below the exceptional, and that's all you're seeing of magic. Maybe somewhere along the line you might see Huxton's mother, who hasn't trained in magic, just light a fire by clicking her fingers, something like that, but it's going to be so small as to be inconsequential and probably not as helpful. But then there's the extra level. In this universe, magic is derived through knowledge. So I like the magic system that relies on magic words. If you can say the magic words, the magic can happen. But also you can manipulate the magic afterwards. So if you say the word for fire, you can conjure fire. But then it's up to you to use it in some ways, and the really talented will create a massive fire dragon made out of fire or something. What I'm doing is that the knowledge you have of how fire works is that you replicate it. So what your magic can do, if you know how it functions, you can replicate it without the various elements. So if you know that fire needs fuel and it needs oxygen and the spark, you have to intimately know those things scientifically in order to conjure fire, and then the rest is what you can do with it, like your own ability, your willpower that can make it happen, your talented training. So in this, I imagine, and this will be explained later in the book, it doesn't need to be explained now, and it's clearly being shown, not told, that these soldiers are animated in some way. It's armor that's just moving not of its own accord, it's being controlled. but that effect is replicated by someone knowing the mechanics of motion. And I'm going to call it knowledge for now. So knowledge, the knowledge of motion is bringing these things to life. Huxton said. Excuse me 1 second. I gotta find myself a studio. Anyway, the knowledge of motion is bringing these things to life, Huxton said. So implying that someone with something somewhere with knowledge of how motion works has managed to motivate these things, and that can be explained later. But it's a little hint for the reader about how the magic works. The knowledge, if you know how motion works, you can animate something, Huxton said. Here's the thing, that knowledge is very, like, it's not just the fact that you know how a muscle moves or an arm moves or fingers move. It's also knowing how that works deeper down. It's also about muscle contractions, electricity, and will as well. But I'll explain later. But the knowledge of motion is bringing these things to life. So this gets me a chance just to at least hint at the magic in this world. But it's clearly very subdued. He's not describing any like light glowing inside the armor. It's just that. And that's what I want. That's the sort of subtle magic that you see in Lord of the Rings, I feel. I'll have to explain that in another video. The knowledge of motion is bringing to life, Huxton said. Explains away. Who cares? Yeah. Who cares? Hit it again. Fortis said. Huxton swung and the soldier let go on, and the soldier let go of Fortis. I typed too fast. Fortis, and grabbed. Hold on. Let go. Yeah, might as well. Let go. Huxton cried out. Okay, so imagine the soldier's got a thing gripped on there. He was wrestling with Fortis. Huxton swings from over here, so he grabs the candle holder, leaving one arm free here. Did I even telegraph that? Sorry. I'm really sorry about the light disappearing and going. Okay, hang on a minute. He's less going to reach his friend, and when he made the top, he saw Fortis wrestling a soldier who had one arm, one hand, one gauntlet on the edge of the roof, and it's one free hand and grappling with the orc. That's fine. Grappling with the orc. Let's go. Let go, Huxton cried out. No. No, you let go, Fortis said, and he kicked out at the stone rim of the tower. Huxton watched the stone give way from the mortar, and he understood immediately. Yes! Every so often you've got to be happy that you spelt something right. No, you let go, Fortis said, and he kicked at the stone rim of the tower. Huxton watched the stone give way for this. I can use slab again, can't I? It's been long enough. Watched the slab give way from the mortar, and he understood immediately. So he let go. The stone the slab slid free. And the soldier disappeared. disappeared over the edge. Both boys ran to catch the soldier crashing. I can't use crashing again. I've used it too many times. I need something different. Splatting? No. Both boys ran to catch this just in time. Both boys watched as the soldier slammed and shattered bits and pieces of armor flying everywhere. Before they could celebrate, a horn blast. Before they could celebrate, a horn blast washed over the village. They looked up to see a wave of a group of Tauoks carrying wooden shields, running from rampaging? No, I was carrying clubs and wooden shields. Sprinting would be fine. Shield sprinting into the village. Soldier. We're saved. No, even these. Okay. So, the orcs are here to save. They're going to have some impact, but they can't have the major impact because that's what the next bit is going to be. Okay, we're saved before it says, no, we aren't, Huxton said. As more soldiers appeared out of the tree line. The village wardens were pushed back. Centre of the village. Hoxton counted 10. Counted 7. But 20 soldiers were joining. Joining the half dozen. But they're outnumbered. My mother, yeah, mother. Huxton uttered, catching a glimpse. A glimpse of his mum. The advancing enemy at bay. Right, I'm going to have to stop there for today. We can finish this next. I'll finish this in the next episode because I've got to try and keep these things to an hour. Mother! Huxton uttered, catching a glimpse of his mum jabbing a spear forward to keep the advancing enemy at bay. One thing I will just finishing on is this. I don't need this anymore. Delete page. I'll keep that just as a reminder to become a better artist. But where is it? Here. Right. Very quickly. Very quickly. I need to reform so I know what I'm going to write next and hopefully do a lot more. Right. First things first. Get rid of this. I'll get rid of that and keep a sort of second solution in. Use that, right. Stop it. So what I need is a few different points to sort of build up this. So keep the advancing enemy at bay. So here's the problem. They're outnumbered by the enemy. Classic sort of fantasy thing. How are they going to get out of it? They're going to do Sex Machina it? Want to avoid that. Are they going to pull something magical out of, like, is Snakar going to, like, lightning going to come down and give them all the armor they need because they had faith? No, this has to be much simpler. But so Huxton realizes they need more help. Fortis will sort of point out there is none. There is none. But there is, because the villagers. Huxton convinces villagers. I'll put Vil, because I know what that means, to fight. They win. They win. Now, hang on. Convinces them to fight. Now, this is the tricky bit. Why do, when you've got like a rising dictator or you've got a terrible political party in power right now, like in my case, it's like the Labour Party. They're terrible. It's just going to swing back to the Conservatives and things are going to get worse. In my opinion, if you don't think differently, it's fine. Write your book. That helps your political persuasion, whatever. I don't care. I kind of do. But I'm teaching you to write. That's the point of this. They convince the villagers to fight. So why don't enough of us just go, we've had it with the Conservatives, we've had it with Labour, let's just vote for something actually properly better that wants to do real proper things. Like, you can imagine it as the entire country swinging to reform. Hopefully not, in my opinion. But I would say it would be really good if they just ditch those two useless parties of the Conservatives and Labour and just choose something and give them the chance. It doesn't have to be the Liberal Democrats. It could just be a Green Party or Progressive Party or someone who says, look, we're just going to fix stuff like this, this and this. Don't you want that? And we'll do it. But why does no one do that? Why does all our country just keep... the whole of this country realises that the current system is terrible. Why don't we... But they all split up and do these things that don't work. Or by splitting yourself up, nothing ever gets done because not enough power sits with the people who actually could use it. So what could Huxton say to them that convinces them to do it? Now, they could make a big speech. That's your loved ones out there. Go help them. But they already know that. So it's kind of like, can I make it about the future? Like, but people get warned about the future all the time. They just don't believe it. So what's it going to be? What would make someone change their mind? What actually makes people act in some sort of real... I mean, I'll be honest. I remember reading somewhere that in truth, when you have a revolution, and that's the bad revolutions and the good revolutions, it actually takes only a small percent of the population actually fighting in the revolution, so to speak, to make it happen. It's like 30%, 37%, I can't remember, which means most people in most countries just like wait for things just to change and just expect a bunch of other people to change it for them. So why don't they? I mean, it could be laziness, cowardness. Do you know what? It actually doesn't matter what they are. If Huxton can convince them to do something, that should be what motivates people in the real world. Like the story has to be a lesson for people. So what Huxton says should be the lesson for everyone here to do something about it. So you've got 7 wardens, you've got 10 orcs, they're fighting for you. The solution isn't to let them get slaughtered. The solution is for us to go out there and help. And they're all going to look at each other and go, they're going to want someone else to step forward. I mean, obviously Huxton's father could, but then that's a bit cliche as well. The first person steps forward and finally everyone gets it knocked out of them. I need to give them something that's going to that's new, but will also work. I mean, a bunch of other people probably would like vote for something completely different in Britain. If they knew someone else was voting it, they'd be convinced, and that'd be enough. Some people just follow some of the time, or waiting to be told. So what is it? What is it? What would I write? What would be the best thing? It's too difficult. Okay, I need to end this lawsuit. So we're coming back to that. What makes them change their mind? I have to go and research this. Okay, that's what I have to do. Right, I've realised something about this before I go. I have been writing this one chapter for 5 hours now. It's going to be 6 hours because I'll finish in the next one, I'm sure of that. Let me just get a calculator quickly. If it takes... I'm not worried about word count. Fantasy books can be long. And since this is an anthology, it's actually easier to read because you could read book by book. But this is going to... If 5 hours is one chapter... Okay, I'm just going to go back and figure out how many chapters there probably are in this one fantasy story. Okay, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm going to round it up to 15 because I'll probably have to add it times 15 equals 75 hours of you watching me type. That's probably not sustainable, especially since this is going to probably be the same for 10 books. So times that by 10. 750 hours of video of live streaming. Do you want to see that? I'm going to have to put it in stone right now that what I'm really going to have to do is just keep writing outside of the videos and then only do the occasional live stream for the things that are very important. So, for example, on this one, I've obviously done this prologue right now. I probably only need to do live streams for, like, intro to them starting an adventure. That's kind of classic. I don't need to show you how to do that. Start the adventure and make progress, because this is all classic adventure stuff, which is kind of undone by this part. Really, it's like I only need to show you. Okay, I'm going to have to think this through. But the way I'm going to have to do this in the future is that I can't give you 750 hours of live streaming. Unless that's what you want. Like and subscribe. And this leaves me no choice but to actually write whole sections and then probably bring them to you by reading them through and then explaining what I did. Because that would be shorter. A lot shorter. Yeah, okay. So I'm afraid I'm changing my mind a little bit. You are going to watch me live stream and type, but I'm going to have to be selective about what I show you, because surely you can't watch 750 hours of me typing. That's too much. Okay, I'm afraid that's the deal. I'll figure it out later. I'm going to do the next hour and then I'll figure it out. At least then you would have got one whole chapter of the fantasy book, and I'll try and think about when you need to see me write at other times. Maybe it's just like this for each book in the anthology. You've watched me write this. I can do the middle one, and then I can do the one at the end. So I could do the first chapter, this middle chapter, then the last chapter of every book in the anthology, and that will kind of bring it together. And I'm obviously going to do a bunch of videos at the end where I read it through for you, and to talk about editing and to show you editing. that might have to be about it, how it works. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I overran the hour. I apologise. Have a good luck with your writing. If you have any comments, criticisms, as long as they're constructive, put them in the comments for people, because there's no one way of writing a book. This is just my way. I'm showing it to you. Hopefully it's helpful. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good morning, afternoon and evening wherever you are in the world. Goodbye.